Paleo quick tip of the day.
Of the day. Forget statins. Eat sardines instead. I know, that sounds a bit strange, to say the least. Give up an incredibly popular and vastly overprescribed drug and then eat a small fish instead? What? My point is this. The modern 1970s-based medical establishment, which is totally drug-based, has been enlisted to force-feed us all lots of statins and other drugs, and for what? I think you know the answer. Profit. That's the bottom line. Profits from statin drugs are approaching $1 trillion. It is the most profitable of all drugs sold, and so is being pushed beyond belief by their salesmen and women, doctors, and the profit-driven clinics they work for. The incentive is there. Just like high blood pressure guidelines, which were recently lowered to a point where virtually everyone, including healthy teenagers, are now diagnosed with high blood pressure. That's in quotes. And so they need to be prescribed medications sold by the big drug companies and the doctors. So too, cholesterol guidelines have also recently been lowered. What a surprise. Now, virtually everyone needs statin drugs as well. Wow, including teenagers, but especially anyone old, like older than, 30 or so. What a load of crap. No one would accept this obvious used car salesmanship technique unless you've been brainwashed into believing that anyone who is a medical doctor is kind of close to godhood and knows such arcane knowledge unattainable to all of the rest of us that he knows we need these drugs, the ones he has for sale. If you don't buy the drugs, you're irresponsible and you'll die. There won't be one word about changing your diet and lifestyle, about getting out into nature and de-stressing on a daily basis, about eating a grain-free and thus largely glyphosate-free, more on that later, paleo diet with loads of vegetables and severely limiting sugars, about daily exercise, perfectly paleo natural exercise along with walking barefoot and stretching. Nope, none of that. Drugs are the answer. Just ask Elvis. Drugs. Better living through chemistry. Sure worked out well for him. He died at 42, and he had a profound respect for MDs and their knowledge and prescriptions. His own personal doctor kept on staff for him was Dr. Nick. When Elvis died at age 42, he was on a strict regimen of pharmaceutical drugs prescribed by his doctor. Very responsible. However, the drugs he was prescribed were the cause of his dying at the age, again, of 42. Elvis followed the medical advice of his day. This was 1977, probably the year when most of your current doctors got their diplomas, right around then. They were only following the science of their time. I call it scientism, and the same science that most doctors go by today. Scientism, rather. Lots of drugs, diet doesn't matter, glyphosate doesn't matter, just avoid fat, and eat lots and lots of carbs. This is the lifestyle that killed Elvis Presley at the age of 42. Do you really want to continue with that failed advice? Here, 41 years into the future, a future that has rediscovered the ancestral or paleo diet and the wisdom of Weston Price. the far more current science, modern science, not scientism, that supports this ancestral knowledge, and that would recommend eating a real foods diet complete with wild-caught, head-to-tail seafood like sardines rather than popping statin pills that enrich the medical clinics but leave you sicker and in pain. Really, is that what you want, Elvis II? I love Elvis Presley's music, mostly the early stuff when he was young, undrugged, and living a blue-collar, honest, healthy lifestyle of physical exertion. That was his heritage, but he gave it up by listening to the medical doctors. Don't you be the same. Treat yourself and eat sardines instead of statins. Throw their prescriptions out the window and consume real, healthy foods instead of drugs. Wow, what a concept. Go out in the sunshine, don't use sunscreen, exercise naturally, not endless cardio for hundreds of miles, but doing push-ups and self-resisted movements, things that build real muscle and strength along with healthy flexibility. You're not just a heart and lungs. That is, the endless endurance thing is so 1970s. I mean, don't do it. Concentrate on building your gut microbiome, those gut bugs that make us healthy and that are killed by drugs and horrible herbicides like Roundup. Avoid grains and keep your carbs low overall. And make an effort to get fermented foods like kefir and yogurt with viable cultures and naturally fermented vegetables like pickles, good pickles, not vinegar pickles. You've got to get the natural stuff, and sauerkraut. It's really not that complicated, but you just need to ask your grandmother or grandfather. But if they are no longer available to you, well, just ask me, Paleo J. I can be your 66-year-old virtual grandfather.
Paleo Quick Tip.